Hi, this is Dr. Flor. She's going to talk to us about teen dating violence awareness and present on some prevention methods, the definition of what it looks like, how you can help your teen, and we'll have questions if there's any questions afterwards. And so we appreciate you carving out time to present this for us for Cal Allen ISD, and parents, we appreciate you giving up some time to learn about this matter. So I'm going to set the floor to Dr. Flor.
Hi, can you hear me? Hi, hello everyone. My name is Flora Bianetta. I am currently a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Texas School of Social Work. And what I'm going to be talking to you about today is it is February and this is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. Intimate partner violence is an area of interest to me. I come from an area of practice experience as a social worker working with survivors of intimate partner violence as well as currently doing research in this area. However, I always am learning and I always tell individuals you are experts in your own life. As parents, as educators, you are working with teens every day. So some of these things you may see for yourself. And so it's very important for you as someone that's in the presence of a teen to be aware of what teen dating violence is, what it looks like, potential risk factors, protective factors, and I'll be talking about that with you today. So how do we define adolescent dating violence? Adolescent dating violence includes, but it's not limited to, physical abuse, which sometimes is most commonly seen. It's more visible. But there's also emotional abuse, verbal threats, stalking, and sexual abuse. And this is between partners in a relationship. So being aware of what it looks like is important, but also paying attention to teen behavior is important because sometimes we cannot see violence. Sometimes it's not physical, it may be emotional, and all types of violence are as harmful as the other. There's digital or cyber abuse. This is a growing area of concern among adolescent relationships. As you know, teens are using social media more frequently now, so it's aware to monitor and be aware of actions happening among teens and to look out for things that may potentially constitute dating violence. So what we know about dating violence among teens is that approximately 8% report experiencing physical dating violence and 10% experience sexual dating violence. This is a significant concern in that teens are experiencing dating violence early on. And in the US, around 16 million women and 11 million men report their first encounter with intimate partner violence occurred during their teenage years. So it becomes a critical part of teen development because that's when they start forming their relationships, whether it's friendships, romantic relationships. So being aware of this is early on so that intimate partner violence, dating violence can be prevented in the future. So as I mentioned, adolescence is a critical period of development. This is when most teens start to form their groups, their peers, their friendships, and begin to initiating romantic relationships. So the relationships and expectations they start forming early on often shape future partnerships all the way into adulthood. So what happens when someone is exposed to adolescent dating violence? There's an increase of mental health concerns, including depression and anxiety. There's also a higher risk for using substances that involve tobacco and alcohol and others, as well as sexual risk behavior. So these are all things that can often happen if teens are also experiencing intimate dating violence. Long term, It can create heart disease, hypertension, and post-traumatic stress disorder and sleep disturbances. So again, there are adverse outcomes that happen with dating violence. So being aware of this early on and preventing is key. Here's a list of adverse risk factors. It's not all encompassing, but these are some of the ones that the research is finding as more prevalent as far as things that put teens at risk of experiencing dating violence. This could include exposure to violence in the home or in the neighborhood. So being aware of actions and how teens thrive in their environments is important. This could be previous experiences of abuse, whether emotional or physical. Sometimes teens may have struggles with self-confidence and self-esteem. Not to say that all teens that struggle with self-confidence and self-esteem will be in a abusive relationship. However, this is a risk factor, especially early on. If there's use of alcohol and drugs, this can also increase the likelihood of experiencing dating violence. If we're seeing that teens are having academic difficulties or disengaged from school, if they are experiencing depression and anxiety, and also teens who may have limited conflict resolution skills or difficulty managing anger. So these types of skills are essential in forming healthy relationships. And so being aware of how teens manage these and gaps in how they attain these skills is important early on. Now, what are protective factors? Factors that can protect teens from getting involved in an abusive dating relationship. Parental support and monitoring. This includes support from parent, being active listeners, monitoring, while of course having conversations with teens about boundaries. Social support, this can come from peers, this can come from their school administrators, their teachers. School belonging, how children and teens feel in school is important. If they feel like they belong, if they feel like they can participate, and they feel that school is a safe space for them to express themselves is important. Empathy, and this is having an understanding of others' experiences and how their words and actions may affect others is important. We talked about low self-esteem. There's positive self-perception. So how teens perceive themselves, how confident they are in who they are is critical. And then understanding and applying boundaries. And this is not just in romantic relationships, but also with family, with friends. So understanding how they can, what those boundaries are and how they can apply those boundaries in their everyday relationships. So supporting teens in their everyday life, whether it's talking to them, having conversations with them, engaging them at home and schools, can have reduced dating violence and prevent its long-lasting effects. So what are some warning signs of adolescent dating violence? As I mentioned, there are physical signs that we may be able to see. Often the physical signs may not also be seen. There may be times in which teens are experiencing this, and their clothes may cover some of the bruising and the cuts. So it's important to also look for behavior changes. But some of the more visible signs could be bruises, cuts, and other injuries that are in parts of their bodies that are visible in their everyday life. If they start to become isolated from friends and families, that's something that could potentially also be a warning sign. So some teens may be shy and may just be like that. Maybe that's their nature, but it's important to have conversations with them, check in with adolescents to see how they're doing, to make sure that everything's okay with them. Losing interest in activities or hobbies they previously enjoyed. It's important to pay attention to that. Maybe they were active in sports and really enjoyed what they were doing. And then parents and teachers may start noticing that they no longer have interest in those things. Sometimes displaying unusual anxiety, fearfulness, and nervousness. And that's part of that relationship with teens. As parents, they see them every day. They may know more about their teen. And same with educators. They have them in their classroom pretty much every day, and they get to know the student's personality. So it's important to pay attention to changes in behavior and ask questions and in a manner that's private and a time in which the teens maybe feel safer to talk to you. Seeming withdrawn, depressed, or emotionally distant. Um, Grade-wise, there may be a noticeable drop in grades or overall school performance. So paying attention to that, especially for teachers that may see them every day. Maybe you had a student that was doing great in your class, and all of a sudden you see this drop in grades and school performance. So checking in is important. And then increased absences or lack of focus in class. So here are some things that parents can do to help teens. Teaching teens about healthy relationship skills, and we'll see a little bit more about what that constitutes here shortly. Opportunities to build self-esteem for teens. Maybe teens can be involved in something they enjoy. The parents can encourage them to enjoy, or maybe they have a talent that teens, may not be expressing. Parents can encourage them in how they can express that. So opportunities to build that self-esteem is important. Teaching teens about healthy versus unhealthy boundaries. Teaching and helping teens to recognize disrespectful and abusive behaviors. And reminding teens that everyone deserves to be in a healthy relationship free from violence, that no one deserves to be in a relationship that makes them feel bad. For educators, recognizing warning signs of adolescent dating violence, some of the ones that we mentioned previously. Listening and validating teens. Sometimes teachers and other educators may be a source of safety for teens. And so validating them and listening, letting them finish their story is important, because often if a teen feels like they're not being listened to, they may stop going to that person. So it's an opportunity to really listen and see how one can support. And the safety of the teen comes first. Of course, there's maintaining confidentiality, and that's within legal limits, making sure that the teen is safe and not at harm's way. And then there's connecting teens to resources. This could be the school counselor. This could be maybe someone in the community, a partner organization that the school is used to working with. So understanding not just what adolescent dating violence looks like, but also what can your role as educators be, and what does your school offer in terms of situations in which a teen may be involved in an abusive dating relationship. So here are some indicators of a healthy versus an unhealthy relationship, and these are things that we can help teens understand. So indicators, some are there's no communication, the partner physically harms you, partner forces you to do anything you don't want to do, something you don't want to, or your partner may pressure you to do something sexual you do not feel comfortable with. So again, understanding what an unhealthy relationship is, accompanied by what a boundary looks like in situations like that. Indicators that you are in a healthy relationship. It's if somebody can safely disagree with their partner, they can be themselves around the partner respects feelings, ideas, and options while truly listening and having honesty and trust. So again, these are not all encompassing. Parents and educators may have other types of conversations with teens. Sometimes there are programs where teens can do role plays when they find themselves in a situation like this. Here are some resources that could help both parents, educators, and teens learn more about dating violence. There's the National Teen Dating Violence Abuse Helpline. This is through loveisrespect.org. Teen dating violence information on the Center for Violence Prevention. There's an organization called Break the Cycle, and this is gives more information about dating abuse. Youth.gov has important information on teen dating violence. And then Dating Matters strategies to promote healthy relationships. And this is with the Center of Disease Control. So these are some resources out there. Of course, there's more. If ever you have questions, I would be happy to talk more with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That was so informative. We'll wait and see if anybody has any questions. Let me look in the chat. See if there's any open. I don't see any questions in the chat. So I really appreciated like all the what you were talking about, the adverse outcomes, the adverse risk factors, but also the protective factors that help teens in their relationships were really good. The support systems and boundaries that they can set, the warning signs that are crucial for identifying the adolescents, teen dating violence, for educators and parents. Those are really, they were awesome. And then describing what a healthy and unhealthy relationship looks like. Sometimes, we as adults don't remember what it was like back as a teen, and so those kind of brought back, what it should look like as a teen, and we can set that example for them. So I really appreciate you talking and giving all these great points and informing us on teen dating violence.
Definitely. And yes, and in my work with teens, that teens are receptive. They listen and they take information in as adults in their lives. It's an opportunity to have those conversations with them. And so what I shared today, I hope is helpful to you all, to parents and educators. And I'm happy to continue the conversation if any parent has or a teacher or other educators have any questions.
Yeah, and if any parents have any questions, they can reach out to me. My email will be on the page where I post this video.
Sounds
So thank
great.
you. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.